Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about something pretty wild, a new kind of company that's totally rewriting the rules of business. We're talking about exponential organizations. And yeah, their growth is the kind of stuff you'd think was science fiction until just a few years ago.
So let's just picture this for a second. The year is 2012. Kodak, the photography giant, a company with over 100,000 employees, goes bankrupt. And in that very same year, this little startup, Instagram, with a tiny team of just 13 people, gets bought for $1 billion. $1 billion.
Now look, this isn't just some weird, one-off business story. No way. This is a huge signal that the ground is shifting under our feet, that the whole economy is changing, which, leads to the big question. How on earth is that even possible? All right, so there's a name for this kind of thing, when a huge, established company gets totally blindsided by new tech. It's called an iridium moment. And yeah, it's named after Motorola's absolutely spectacular $5 billion faceplant with their satellite phone project back in the 90s.
And here's the kicker, the fatal flaw that links all these fallen giants, from Motorola right up to Kodak. They all made the exact same critical mistake. They were using old, straight-line, predictable thinking in a world that had suddenly started moving at a dizzying exponential speed.
And this just shows you how bad our brains are at getting our heads around this kind of growth. Take the Human Genome Project. When it started, the so-called experts said it would take centuries to complete. But they were thinking in a straight line. They completely forgot about the doubling power of technology. The result? They were off by almost 700 years. Crazy, right?
So this incredible exponential force has basically created a whole new economic climate. And just like in nature, when the climate changes, a new species evolves. A new type of company has emerged that is perfectly built to not just survive in this chaos, but to absolutely thrive.
And the engine driving all of this? It's information. The futurist Ray Kurzweil has a name for it, the law of accelerating returns. And the idea is pretty simple, really. Once you can turn any field, whether it's biology, manufacturing, you name it, into information, its power, its performance for the same price starts doubling, like every year or so.
And that is what makes this new breed, the exponential organization, or EXO for short, even possible. An EXO isn't just, a little bit better than the competition. No, its impact, its output, its sheer influence, it's at least 10 times bigger.
I mean, just look at the numbers here. This is the kind of insane leverage we're talking about. Back in 1979, General Motors needed more than 800,000 people to make $11 billion. Fast forward to 2012. Google makes more money, $14 billion, with less than 5% of that workforce. That's what exponential leverage looks like.
So the big question is, how do they pull this off? What's the secret sauce? Well, the book Exponential Organizations actually cracks open their DNA, so to speak. It lays out the formula for this kind of crazy, explosive growth.
Okay, so at its heart, the formula has three main parts. It all starts with a big guiding mission, what they call a massive transformative purpose, or MTP. Then you add two sets of tools. The first is scale, which is all about tapping into resources outside the company. And the second is ideas, which is how they manage all that crazy speed internally.
Let's start with the MTP. This is the absolute heart and soul of an EXO. And we're not talking about some boring corporate mission statement nobody reads. No, this is a huge, inspiring, world-changing goal. It's like a magnet that pulls in a whole community of people who believe in it. I mean, think about TED. Ideas worth spreading. That's not just a tagline, it's a movement.
Okay, so let's dig into scale. This is the magic of how these companies use stuff they don't even own. First, staff on demand. They can tap into talent anywhere, anytime, which keeps them super lean and agile. Then, you've got community and crowd. Think about Waze. Every single person using the app is also feeding it data. It's genius. Next, algorithms. They automate things that used to take armies of people to do. Then, leveraged assets. This is the whole Uber and Airbnb playbook, right? They don't own the cars or the apartments. And finally, engagement, where they build things that get more valuable the more people use them, creating this awesome feedback loop.
All right, so if scale is about the outside world, ideas is the internal operating system that keeps the whole thing from flying apart at high speed. They use interfaces to manage all those external resources. Think of Apple's App Store and its strict rules. They live and die by their dashboards, tracking everything in real time so they can make decisions fast. They have a culture of constant experimentation. They're not afraid to fail, because that's how you learn. They give small teams a ton of autonomy, letting them move without getting bogged down in red tape. And finally, they use social technologies to make sure everyone is on the same page and information just flows.
So you take all of these pieces, that big purpose, the way they leverage the outside world, that internal speed, and you put them all together, what you get is way more than just a new business model. It's a completely different way of thinking.
And when you put them side by side, the difference is just stark. The old-school linear companies, they're all about hierarchy, owning stuff, and being absolutely terrified of risk. They make these 5-year plans that are obsolete before the ink is dry. ExOs are the total opposite. They're all about autonomy, leveraging assets, and they thrive on experimentation, guided by that big purpose and the data on their dashboards.
So, if you're going to remember one thing from all this, what should it be? It's this. There's a huge shift happening in what we even consider success. The most important metric isn't going to be ROI, return on investment anymore. Nope, it's going to be ROL, return on learning.
Why? Because in a world that's changing this fast, the ultimate advantage isn't about being the biggest company on the block or owning the most stuff. It's about being the fastest learner. Plain and simple. Whoever can adapt and evolve the quickest wins.
And that leaves us with a really important question. One you should probably ask yourself. In your work, your company, even just your own career, what are you really focused on? Are you optimizing for the return on your investment, or are you optimizing for the return on your learning? Because the future, well, it probably belongs to the learners.